we're probably gonna get killed for this. So
Yeah,
you know, uh,
it's the apprehension.
yeah. Well, it
It would be funny though.
it is what it is. We gotta bring the truth to the people, man. I mean, and if if we don't get if we're not gonna get iced by the committee, we're gonna get iced by the serpent anyways.
Yeah,
It's like, what do
directly. Like either it'll sick them on us, or
It'll
we're
download
enough
our
of a
minds.
threat that it has to deal with us itself.
Yeah, exactly. We're just that based.
Hmm. Well, we're back again with
Yeah. Hey,
another
we can be
one.
consistent when we want to.
Yes, but when we want to, who knows? That's only
Well,
the entity knows.
you can't tell them about that. Come on. Uh, but yeah, we're here. What do we? What's the topic today, my man?
Oh boy, we've got quite a topic. Um, a certain uh, shadowy organization that runs everything from behind the curtain, the world puppet master, the Committee of 300, as is one
Real.
of its many, many names. Oh, you could say, oh, the Illuminati. Illuminati confirmed? Real? Yes, actually.
Correct.
Those early 2000s MLG montages were trying to tell you something, but you weren't listening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those early YouTube videos made by like 50-year-old like divorced men, all using either the X-Files theme or Club to Death from the Matrix soundtrack were just they were real, right? Those
Yeah,
beautiful works of Windows Movie Maker art. They were all true. They were all real. Um,
but yeah, yeah, that's essentially that's what we're going to be talking about today is the Committee of 300.
yes, because if we feel like this is everyone talks about the Illuminati, right? They're basically the same thing, right? But like
Yeah,
the Committee 300 has more of like a lore to it, right? There's more lore, there's more deep lore. Illuminati is just kind of, well, I mean, there's some interesting lore behind Illuminati, right? But
oh
like
yeah,
again, everyone always talks about that.
yeah, but yeah, people could see it more as of like a, I don't know, like a Freemason type thing. Like there's some that are more kind of got co-opted. Like there are like, oh, there's so many little secret societies and things that we'll get into. Kind of like
Yeah, yeah,
related, arguably all of the same entity.
yeah. Because the Committee 300 is basically like Committee 300 slash Illuminati is basically the top dogs, right? And they're
Yeah,
there's the Freemasons and all that stuff, but like these are like the guys, right? It all goes back to these dudes.
yeah,
Um, so
and one of the other names that some of them even go by are Olympians, which is quite on the nose for
yeah, yeah. It's a bit you're like, okay, bro, okay.
thinking they're
Right.
above humanity,
Yeah,
gods of
LARPing,
sorts.
LARPing, yeah, LARPing is gods. What's another one? The Hidden Hand. That's another one
Mm,
too.
yeah, hidden
That one sounds
hand,
cool.
and some of them it's kind of like kind of blurs because technically they're like part of the committee or they're like subsidiaries or things like that because you have like a club
Yeah,
of Rome and like the Bilderberg group and all these other things that are
it's all under it.
related, adjacent, but also occupied by members of said committee.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah. So
oh
it's
boy, does the rabbit hole go so
Oh
deep.
yeah, it's a whole fucking yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a big old crazy hodgepodge of just organizations and groups and all this stuff around the world, across history. It's great. It's pretty great. So the Committee of 300, like people generally know about it from the book by John Coleman, Conspirators Hierarchy, um, which was written back in the 90s, right? So this is like classic conspiracy Kino, right?
Yeah.
And it got particularly big in recent years because of it was on Bin Laden's laptop when he got iced. And so it was among the files that the CIA uploaded onto their website that they found on his laptop because he had it. Fucking yeah. To any fellow science adventure fans, yeah, canon. Osama bin Laden was anti-committee. Now you know.
Yes. This whole time, where's that title? Where's that entry that on Chio? You gotta do it, please. I could see the title
Osama
now, and
bin
it's just bin semicolon Laden.
Real, real. He's gonna be the final science adventure protagonist.
It's where it's all been leading to.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, but yeah, so actually, the theory, the whole theory of the Committee of 300 actually goes back um to quite a while, like over 100 years now, actually.
Yeah.
To it all goes back to a quote by a German politician in like 1909, where he talks about a group of 300 men who guide the economic destinies of Europe. So that was kind of like taken as like an admission, basically, right?
Yeah.
That was, yeah, but that was basically like, oh, so he's just admitting, like, he's just coming out and saying it, right? Now, it's kind of YouTube, right? We're on YouTube,
Yes. Gotta
so
gotta be a little careful.
we gotta be a bit careful where we go from here because this at the time people didn't think he was talking about just 300 dudes, like just 300 like rich dudes. They thought they took it as him admitting it as being a group of 300 rich dudes of a certain kind of person. Um, that this would inspire the gamer Germans. We'll say that much.
Yeah.
But
Just
that also means, again, for fellow science adventure fans, the Mustache Man was anti-committee. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like it's
oh Christ. Yeah.
it's canon.
Yeah.
All your
That's
all your favorite science adventure protagonists are on the side of the Mustache Man. I don't know what to tell you. That's just canon.
what did Shio mean by this? Hmm.
Well,
Find out someday.
yeah. Um, but yeah. So, anyways, for over 100 years, basically, you had this conspiracy in the background. Um, and I would say, I mean, I don't think it doesn't really blow up until like, well, the Committee of 300 itself hasn't really blown up as a theory, I would say. I imagine because of the internet, it's gotten more traction lately,
Yeah.
right?
And
But
it's no thanks to whoever they that it did get tacked on with like the silly Illuminati like meme basically, like which you could say kind of discredited a little bit because it's like, oh, the Illuminati, oh, you're just crazy conspiracy nut, that's not real, because that's how
well,
the rest of them like refer to it as like, oh yeah, silly fake Illuminati. That
well, see, that's the thing with that. with that too is, do you know the lore of the Illuminati conspiracy, like the
And
conspiracy theory?
not the theory itself, not really.
Right, right. So something that is not talked about a lot with the Illuminati, um, is that it actually it literally started out as a meme in the late 50s. And so Discordianism, right?
Right, yes.
That was founded or started. The 60s is when the Principia Discordia came in. And I think supposedly the story is that it was in the 50s where the two creators, Greg Hill and Carrie Thornley, were supposedly, visited by a chimpanzee at a bowling alley that enlightened them about the goddess Eris, and we'll we'll save the full details for an episode on Discordianism itself, which I think
Yeah.
would honestly be a great episode for this. So one of the things, um one of the big things with Discordianism is Operation Mindfuck, right? It's one of the big important practices of Discordianism, um which again is this whole crazy thing. But basically, part of Operation Mindfuck originally was because this part of the idea was that Greg Hill and Kerry Thornley hated conspiracy theorists. They thought they were stupid, right?
Hmm.
They thought conspiracies were dumb and that they were just a way to control people. And so in the 60s you get these guys, form Discordianism, and like Discordianism becomes quite a big underground thing. It's a thing, and particularly it's a thing with a bunch of writers for like magazines um and stuff like that, right? So you get guys like Robert Anton Wilson, right, who is like working, um who like writes for like Playboy, right? And so they start these the irony, right, too, of them calling conspiracy theorists dumb and crazy when they actively engaged in a conspiracy to create a conspiracy theory. That'll never be the funniest thing. But that's what happened is they worked to disseminate. They basically created the Illuminati conspiracy whole cloth, right? Because they thought it was stupid, like, oh, this group from like the 18th century that like was totally destroyed by like the Catholic Church. We're gonna make up stories about how they survived, and they secretly control the world from the shadows. The whole point was to try to like get people, like, show that conspiracy theories are dumb, by making something that they thought was so um ridiculous that it was unbelievable. Of course, what they found out was that it wasn't unbelievable. I mean, one, the Committee of 300 conspiracy had already existed since 1909. Um, but secondly, um, you know, just to over the course of the ensuing decades, right? We start getting revealed stuff like MK Ultra and Operation Northwoods and all this stuff that's like, oh, actually, like this stuff isn't so crazy, right? Like
Hmm.
conspiracies are a thing that are real and happen. Uh, um, so the whole thing is just this stupid convoluted mess where these Discordian pranksters basically created the Illuminati conspiracy and got it disseminated into the culture as a joke, as a way to make fun of conspiracy theorists, only to end up kind of that it blew up in their face.
Revealing some stuff.
Yeah, it blew up in their face. And I think actually one of the guys, one of the creators of Discordianism, I think it was Thornley, ended up getting uh like convinced. He was like, oh, I was wrong. The conspiracy theorists were right, actually. um so got one of them at least. But yeah, so that's the lore of the Illuminati conspiracy theory. Most people don't know that. It was all a Discordian conspiracy.
That's huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
so these guys were just meme booting stuff into reality. Is what
Yeah, basically.
is what we're
Yeah,
saying
basically.
is
Yeah, they meme booted it.
oh
And
thanks
they
thanks very cool. You had to meme boot a shadow government.
they meme booted the shadow government. Yes, real and actual. Um, there's it's a little bit of a tangent, but speaking of meme booting, actually, now you mentioned
Mhm.
it with this guy Thornton who got convinced. There was a bunch of other. His story is fucking fascinating. Thornton's. I don't know if we'll cover him specifically, but for another topic, maybe for like um synchronicities or something
Yeah.
for an episode like that because he has a lot like fucking Thornley. Just to give a bit of a sneak peek into whenever of that episode, whenever we do it. Thornley knew Lee Harvey Oswald. He knew him, and he it was crazy because he knew him, and then like he just knew him as a guy, right? I forget the context in which he knew him. I think he was like a neighbor or slip coast him, or I think they were like in the. Forgive me if anyone was listening who knows, and I'm just wrong. Me spreading misinformation on the internet casually in the morning. But so he knew Lee Harvey Oswald, and then he writes this book about um a American soldier who assassinates an American political figure and defects to the Soviet Union. Um, and then Lee Harvey Oswald does exactly that. And he hadn't, and Thornley hadn't even. I don't think he even released the book. I don't think he was even finished yet. I think he had just barely like gotten it um like revised and shit. And this happens, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And all these weird like meme booted coincidences that happen in his life that are part of what convinced him that the conspiracy is real, actually. So yeah, fascinating fucking story there.
Absolutely
Um,
insane.
yeah, it's fucking just madness. And it's great. It's awesome. It's Kino. But so yeah, so basically, this your Committee 300 is basically Illuminati before the Illuminati, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I think Committee 300, I think, is kind of better, right? Because it doesn't rely on the Bavarian Illuminati, the actual secret society that existed, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to in many ways, and I think when it comes to conspiracy theories like this, Illuminati Committee 300, they're natural, right? Like they don't come out of nowhere. Um, like I think the term conspiracy theory again, anyone kind of knows, right? Is a thought terminating cliche, right? It's supposed to be something you throw at something that you want to kind of just not have taken seriously. Um, but like I mean, when you like maybe not, you may take issue with some of the details, but I think the basics of like, yeah, a bunch of rich people like you getting together and using their wealth and power to like puppeteer the world from the shadows, like that's real as fuck, right? Like that
Yeah.
just that basic concept. Like I mean, look around you,
Yeah. Literally, it's that simple. Just look. You don't even need the funny
just look.
they live glasses. It's obvious.
Yeah, yeah. The only contention is the extent of it, right? That's the only
Yes.
real contention. But like we all like, I mean, what do you call like lobbying and like bribing politicians to enact shit? Like, what do you call that? You know? what do you call all these lobby groups? Like that's just conspiracies of rich people to get things they want to happen to happen. Like that's you know. But again, we throw the thought terminating cliche, and we just get told that, oh well, you just believe in the Illuminati or something. You just it just all goes away. But there's more to it than that. Obviously. I mean, you should always kind of take everything you see, especially on the internet, with a grain of salt, right?
Oh yes, of
Should
course.
always look into things more.
But
Um,
but do that at the very least. Look into things and don't just, you know,
exactly.
believe
Which,
what you hear or see.
yeah.
Though arguably that's getting difficult in and of itself, but
Well, yeah, I was about to say, but that's a topic for another day.
oh yeah.
But for now, I guess there's so you have the Committee of 300, which is basically just the Illuminati, right?
Yeah.
The same idea as the Illuminati, and there's the whole New World Order thing, right? That's the big, um, that's the whole plan. That's the whole agenda. That's the goal.
Yes.
I
And
forget is well, I was gonna say is the whole my fucking weeb brain rot is the human domestication program thing part of the actual conspiracy, or is that just something
hold on. There I
Geo
was
made up?
I've been looking through that document we mentioned, book still,
Yes.
and there is a section that lists their goals. It lists
Oh,
like
okay.
20 something various goals of the committee that, you know, this the fact that the way they put this of just like, yes, the fact that they call themselves Olympians and believe that these goals are their like divine right to implement is just being ruled by a bunch of schizos. That's great. That's, you love to hear it.
It's Okino.
But of course, the first one world government, simple, you know,
Simple.
like the very,
We
very
gotta know, yeah.
to the point. We know, New World Order. Yeah, this talks about unified church, unified monetary system. That's kind of, at least the monetary system's been.
That one is just real.
That's just real. That's we're inching towards that pretty quick.
That's just it's just actual.
And honestly, the church thing, that's also real if you
Think so?
controversially, not in like the normal religious sense, but like the, again, YouTube and being careful what to say.
Yeah. No,
Certain movements of the last few years that have gotten
that's fair. That
extreme
are
fervor and, you know,
that are religions, but just
yeah,
swear they aren't.
yeah, basically. I could say that that is a result of this, potentially. May not what they wanted exactly, but it causes enough chaos to.
I would say it is. I would say it is. Honestly, I'd take the plunge and just say no. Yeah, it's totally what they
Yeah, and okay, one of their
wanted.
other goals, this like utter destruction of all national identity and national pride. Again, real.
Also real,
That's
yeah.
just happening. Some of them are like kind of just extrapolating on things said before. So some it's just like, okay, yeah, the destruction of religion or specific religions, ones that oppose them are counterproductive to what they desire. This one is interesting though, is control of each and every person through a means of mind control, which Brzezinski refers to as technotronics.
Oh, that's what that fucking meant. Okay, awesome. Oh,
So,
wow.
so that part from the funny visual novels is real. The whole brainwashing and mind
Yeah, yeah,
control thing
yeah.
is apparently a real goal of theirs.
So okay, I always kind of that's always been a part of like conspiracy stuff. So I kind of figured that did come from the real conspiracy theory, right? But it's honestly he should have gone with Chio Mario should have gone with the name Technotronics because that's just
That's
so
such a
fucking
good, that's
cool.
such a good name.
So awesome. Missed
Oh,
opportunity to not go with
cool.
it.
What else we got? End of industrialization and production of nuclear energy. Um,
Wow, that's actually really
there's a
real.
lot of these are like the legalization of drugs and pornography. That's
Also real.
also
Basically already happened.
yeah. Uh, depopulation of large cities. That's
That's not
no,
real.
that's the opposite. Actually, is pushing everyone
Yeah.
into
He,
cities.
he was not cooking with that one.
They were. It was whenever he talked about this, they were referring to like Pol Pot and stuff, like stuff going on in Cambodia as like an example of like what they wanted, and it's just like, yeah, that's later. That's like way like after you got your prison city. Suppression of all scientific development deemed beneficial by the committee. There's yeah, some of these are like
Yeah, some of these
oh,
I'm not.
the
I don't know what he was cooking there.
cause limit like wars. Okay, yeah, so the whole funny mess with the third world type of
Oh, ooh,
usual.
that's that's. I don't know if we could talk about that one
Yeah, that's a
because of
little
YouTube.
yeah, no, not I won't go into too much detail there, but
Next,
oh,
next.
weaken the moral fiber of the nation and to demoralize workers in the labor class by creating mass unemployment. Oh,
We're living through that one, boys.
I even want to keep reading this. Could make me
You're
just
just gonna want to die. We have to keep doing it.
yes, no.
We have to get
Actually,
this
may
out
as
to
well
the
go through it.
people.
It's something to like just point out. Just like
Yeah, it's good
uh,
talking points. Good stuff to
to
talk about.
keep people everywhere from deciding their own destinies by means of one created crisis after another and then managing such crises.
Holy shit, that's too fucking real. God
Oh, it
damn.
even it brings up FEMA in that point also. Hmm, interesting. To introduce new cults and continue to boost those already functioning, which include oh, okay, this is really
Well, he's kind of cooking. He's kind of cooking with that one too,
but it's
honestly.
because he starts going off about music and stuff, like about like rock
Yeah.
music being like, it's like okay,
I don't know
okay,
about rock music, but like if he
this
was
is
talking about like
very
modern
like
music, I'd believe him.
this is very like
It's
70s, 80s, like
it's very boomer core.
satanic panic
Yeah,
core.
yeah.
Just like so that one, arguably you could say that it's changed. It's not the fact that it's like the
Wait,
filthy degenerate Mick Jagger.
wait. Hold up. I just realized something
Hmm.
because I'm on the page now.
Hmm.
They removed one of the points.
12, 13.
It goes straight to 14.
That's
Oh.
what did they mean by
What was number 13?
yes, for clarification, this yeah, like we mentioned a little bit ago, this document is like on the CIA website, so that
Yeah,
surely
for
there's
free.
things that have been redacted, but this is like blatantly like it's just not there. It just skips a
It's just
point.
gone. Awesome.
So whatever that means.
Yeah, so
Um,
14. That one's real, but also too spicy for
ooh, yeah,
YouTube.
yeah,
um, wow, that one's also real but spicy.
yeah. For reference, some of these are like religious based, so it's a little
Yeah,
maybe not go into too much detail.
yeah. We don't want to get fucked over by alphabet.
Hey, look at that. To cause total collapse of the world's economies and engender total political chaos. Yep,
Real,
that's
actual.
happening as of like recently. What
As
two of
of
the
right now.
G7 are in recessions? So
Yeah. The
so
China's
far.
yes, yeah. And then China's
China has two.
economy to just yeah, it's all. And I mean, we can all just tell by just going to like the grocery store and being like, oh hey, the eggs are like double the
Yeah,
price now.
me freaking out to a friend recently about the price of a local like crappy fast food joint.
Yeah,
I
because
was like I was losing my mind. I'm like, what do you mean it's this
Mhm.
place that used to cost maybe $20 to feed like 3 or 4 people is now like 30 to barely feed 2 people.
Yeah.
I was, you know, getting
Remember when the McDonald's dollar menu had stuff that was actually a fucking dollar?
wow, the cheapest thing now is 4 maybe. The junior chicken
Yeah,
up here is like
yeah,
$4 now, and it's like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
nuts.
yeah. It's insane. So goal 16 is just real. We're living through it right
Yeah.
now. Actual.
We got 17 to take control of all foreign and domestic policies of the United States. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Oh yeah, 18 is real as fuck.
To give the fullest support of supranational institutions such as the United Nations, the IMF, some banks, world courts,
Oh
gradually
really?
phasing them out and bringing them under the mantle of the United Nations. So just merging everything basically
Yeah,
into
I don't know if he was right about United Nations, but like
yeah,
having
that's
that all, yeah, having that all be like super important and like, yeah,
ooh, 19 penetrate and subvert all governments and work from within them to destroy the sovereign integrity of nations represented by them. Mm-hmm. Yep.
and just look outside, homies.
Oh,
Oh wow, ooh,
oh, that
wow,
one. 20.
wow, that's okay. Damn, yeah. No, I mean, yeah,
Organized worldwide terrorist apparatus and yeah, just terrorism everywhere, which is
all the time.
huh. So all of it
The
is just
saddest
their
word.
all of it is just their fault apparently.
Yeah, real and true. And then the last one, take control of education in America with the intent and purpose of utterly and completely destroying it. And we all know that one's true. I mean, fuck, even normies are aware of that now with all the TikTok, the teachers on TikTok being like, Gen Alpha doesn't even know how to fucking read. And like, damn.
Yeah. But yeah, so
So
those are the
actual.
21 of like the
Well, that was
mo
20 actually.
oh yeah, 20. Sorry, we
We don't
missed
have
they
number 13.
they stole it. So actually, yeah, 20 points of theirs. That's very real. The
Yeah.
thing we could because yeah, like what you were talking about the human domestication. I think that's not yet. These are like
I think
relatively near
vaccine.
future ideas.
Yeah, because I'm looking it up right now, and I'm not finding anything. So maybe that is a science adventure exclusive, but it's not. The name, at least, is this? It might be a science adventure exclusive. But like the concept isn't right because the whole concept is
Nope, nope,
like.
nope, nope. Hold up, hold up. Literally
Oh,
2 paragraphs underneath that 20th point literally brings it up.
oh wait, really?
Well, not the culling part of it, where it talks
Huh.
about having to keep the world population uh minimal for
Yes,
global
yes. I
balance.
was gonna say because that I know like the big I think provider of that conspiracy is the Georgia Guidestones,
Yes,
right?
I was
Is that
thinking. Yes, we definitely got to bring those up. That's
yeah? That's a big like committee of 300 Illuminati New World Order human domestication program thing, right? Like it's basically the Guidestones were seen as like a big like telegraphing of what they want to do. Basically, it's a big like this is what we're gonna do. There's nothing you can do to stop it. So we're gonna build giant monuments in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, as like a fuck you, basically.
yeah, that in a bunch of languages all around these giant guide stones. For those of you who don't know, they had like instructions to keep the world like minimal population.
I forget
Or
what it
the
was.
or the there's like for reference, these got blown up 2 years ago.
Yeah,
For again, for
based
those of you
based.
who didn't know, this weird ominous guide stones that are for like end of the world instructions and how to run a
Yeah,
society. But yeah, on July 6th, they got blown up. I remember waking up that morning and the footage was just everywhere of them just getting blown up, and it's like,
yeah, it's awesome. That's what did they ever find out who did it? Did they ever get that guy?
I'm not sure.
Huh, apparently no motive or suspect has ever been publicly identified.
That's
There just hasn't been enough. Okay, so
they
the
never
base
found it.
schizo got away with it. He got away with it. He can't keep getting. Honestly, you could say this was Sam Hyde who did it, and it's probably true.
Yeah,
He can't keep getting away with this.
what he can and will.
Sam Hyde destroyed the Georgia Guidestones? For real?
God.
Oh man. But yeah, so yeah, the Georgia Guidestones, said they just openly said that like humanity needs to be kept under a certain amount. I forget the amount, but
I think it was like
um
250 million or something.
it was something. It was like yeah, some a couple 100 million. With the implication, of course, that like as any based chud would say,
Oh,
billion
oh wait, hold
die.
on. Here's the inscription. Yeah, it's just maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. Schizolingo
Yeah.
reference real.
We're gonna make the new language.
Rule, passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Balance personal rights with social duties. Prize truth, beauty, love, and seeking harmony with the infinite. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. It says it twice. Okay. That's
Yeah. So I mean, it's very weird, right? Very just like
just
what
like,
the fuck.
why? Why there? Like,
Yeah, it's the whole thing is weird. We really do need to do an episode on the Guidestones. Just
mhm. But
it's a whole weird ass rabbit hole.
yeah, no, to put a bow on that is basically, yes, that's kind of very committee like build, basically. Like, it's very blatant, like, their kind of goals.
Yes, specifically 1 and 3 are the ones I think people
Yes.
focus on the most. Because it's just like, well, what do you mean keep it under 500 million? We have like what 8 billion now? Like
Yeah.
that's billions must die, I guess. So yeah, the whole thing is just yeah, that's a whole little weird thing, but that's part of the whole conspiracy committee 300 Illuminati, right? Is
Mhm.
that want to get rid of people so that way they can have better control and new world order, all this shit, right? When it comes to the committee of 300, I think one of the things with all this kind of new world order stuff is I'm thinking of again we keep making like comparisons to the science adventure visual novel series because we're fans, we're nerds,
Mhm.
and it actively uses a lot of this stuff for its plot for the whole overarching narrative, and even honestly the individual narratives of each entry. But there's stuff like X Files, Deus Ex, big.
Yeah.
I'm a big Deus Ex enjoyer. It's game of the year for all years, forever. As far as I'm concerned, at least. But I think one of the things that I think is interesting, right, about this whole thing is that how I think we're gonna cap off this episode is conspiracy and the modern ecosystem, right?
Right.
Is I mean, we all know we've talked about this um, particularly in the Philip K. Dick episode, right? Um, the whole kind of war against conspiracy theories, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's a whole thing in and of itself, honestly. Um, and I think one of the things that's interesting about that, right, is that it's kind of treated like a mimetic virus almost, right? Like it's like a plague, right? It's a meme plague that they're trying to stop. And I think the issue, right, with all of this stuff that we've been talking about is, oh, yes, you can say, oh, it's all just a conspiracy theory, like it's just crazy, none of it's true, how could you think it's true? And as I kind of said at the beginning, there is an aspect of, like, yeah, like there is, like, maybe the details aren't exactly true, especially, I mean, especially when you get to the crazier stuff like fucking lizard people, the
Yeah.
Antichrist and all that shit, right? Um, but I think one of the reasons people need to realize, right, that you can blame the internet, you can blame people being dumb, uneducated, uninformed, bigoted, whatever, right? But you're never gonna solve the problem, if you view it that way, if you view it as a problem. Um, you're not gonna solve it that way because there is a reason why people, right, like believe in this stuff.
Yeah.
Because as we've been going along this whole time, the it was great to bring up the list of goals, right? Because for so many of those, we were just like real, real, actual, real, true, yes, because and that's why people believe in this stuff is because, I mean, if you just look outside, like,
Yeah.
you this stuff going on.
It's one of those that it's like kind of what we little kind of mentioned earlier is it didn't come out of nowhere. Like this isn't like
Yeah,
just like, oh yeah, just this came to me. Like I just made these weird connections. Like there's like documented evidence of like, you know, even if you don't want to believe in that sort of stuff, you can't deny that there's like connections between a lot of these
exactly.
corporations, banks, groups.
Maybe they don't call themselves the Committee of 300 or the Illuminati. But I mean, we have stuff like the Bohemian Grove. We all know is real. We all know, like, the world's rich and powerful go to this place once a year, get all cloaked up and do like weird fucking like rituals and shit.
Yeah.
We have like video evidence of that. That's weird as fuck. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff people bring up, Club of Rome, Trilateral Commission, all these things that are like these big overarching like international bodies that, the IMF, or recently the WEF, all these things that control money, they control, policies internationally, and it's just like you were saying, it doesn't come from nowhere. It's never come from nowhere.
Yeah.
Since its inception in 1909, you know,
Like even back then
even
they were
back
piecing
then,
it together. They were just like,
even
oh,
back
that's
then,
strange. Like
yeah, and especially back then, can you imagine, like, in living back in 1909? This is the time of like oil tycoons, the robber barons. Like, of course you'd be like, well, real, yeah, there is a conspiracy of 300 rich fucks plotting against us normal folk. Like, so
yeah.
it's never come from nowhere, and people need to realize that. People need to realize that, like, when some like trailer park family goes to their Dollar General, because there's nowhere else to shop, because all the old mom and pop shops that used to be across America died, were killed by Amazon or Walmart or whatever. And they see their TV dinners are $8 a pop now, and no one's doing anything about it. Um no one's if anything, like, things are being actively made worse. And people talk about, when it comes to conspiracy culture, conspiracy thinking, right, that, oh, people actually want to think, they want to think there's someone in control, because the truth is that no one's in control. It's all just a chaotic mess. And I understand that. I
Hmm.
understand that. that's a sensible thing to say, I think, right? Is that in some sense, yes, um, you're right. But this is why I like the Committee of 300 theory, because the Illuminati theory is, this group controls the world, they run everything, they're behind it all. Not the Committee of 300 theory. The Committee of 300 doesn't paint these as like the rulers, the masters of the world. Well, at least the old school version, I think. I think this, like we said, there's been some like meshing with Committee of 300 and Illuminati, but like the OG Committee of 300 theory was just they don't control everything. They just they control a lot of things.
Yeah, like
And
even
even
like in the thing itself, they just mentioned Europe specifically. Back then, they didn't even like fathom that it was like a globe spanning thing. They're just like, oh yeah,
yeah,
most of Europe probably.
yeah. But even in the version from the 90s, from the conspirators hierarchy, it was still like they don't control everything. They just have, they have their kind of fingers all up in all these different industries, all these different groups. Um, but not everything is under their control because no group of people can ever like 100% control everything, obviously. But I mean, when you look at the world, there's a point where you're like, okay, some of this is chaos, right? Obviously, a lot of this is just chaos that's out of anyone's control. But like a lot of it is also like clearly like we can't play dumb anymore. Like a lot of it is just clearly being done on purpose.
Yeah,
It's being done actively, purposefully by people at the top. A lot of detrimental stuff is just being done to us on purpose, right? Um, I won't give any examples, and I know it's kind of a cop out, but I don't want
yeah,
to get fucking nuked.
yeah. No, just
Uh,
go read the the document, the book, because it's all in there. It names a lot of names. It names a lot of corporations and banks and institutions and things that are all,
yeah,
suspected to be in cahoots.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely, and especially when you look at things like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, all these
Yeah,
big old investment firms. That's just like, oh, look at like all the world, like all like all these like handful of corporations that just control all other corporations, and it's
yeah,
just like
yeah. Like
so.
if
I
you
think
follow a
more
subsidiary
now,
chain all the way up to just a couple of the massive ones that own
yeah,
everything.
yeah. So I think again, people need to realize that more now than ever before is it totally believable that there is this like shadowy cabal, this shadow government of rich, powerful fucks, puppeteering or trying to puppeteer at least the world from the shadows. More than ever. Um, and I think people need to realize that if they want to de-schizoize people, I guess.
Yeah,
um, So yeah, I don't whether it actually exists or not, I don't know. At least not under like the specific name. The specifics are vague, right? But
yeah,
that's the other thing. How the fuck could we ever know?
yeah, yeah. It's not like that's just gonna be revealed. Like I
Yeah,
don't. That's little, little too optimistic. That
yeah,
suddenly one
exactly.
day all these people will just be put in prison. Like, yeah, I doubt that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
The fight continues against
Yes,
something, another thing.
yes,
Yeah, you
yes.
got a multi-front war, lads. So,
Whatever you want to call it, the war continues. If you're a based schizopilled schizopunk and you're anti-committee, you want to take the fight to the committee, like and subscribe. I don't use Spotify, so follow us on Spotify or whatever it is you do on Spotify. Follow us on Twitter.
Spread
All
the
the
word.
yes, yes, take the fight to the committee. Take the fight to the committee themselves. Rebel against the committee. Become a schizopunk today. Hell yeah.
Yes. You heard it here first, folks.
Yes.
Or, well, you've heard it everywhere, but you should listen.
We made it digestible.
Yes. Yeah, just a little brush over. Obviously, we could just sit here and go through the whole 170 pages and name every name and
Yeah.
but
But that'd be
that's a
boring.
little that's a little dry and you should just
Yeah.
do your reading, do your research, piece things together
Exactly.
because it's not hard. They're as a
Oh
certain
no.
Jontron said, they came right out on TV and said it.
They're just saying it live in front of cameras. Yeah. 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 Too real. Too
Uh,
fucking real. He was so real for
yes, he
that.
really was. Truly one of the good ones.
God bless Jontron. What an absolute lad.
But, I mean, that might be a spot to put a pin in it. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of
I think
went over
that's
the
all we have to
basics,
say.
and yeah,
We'll see you next time on Layer 1.
we'll be back. Peace out,
Unless the
people.
committee kills us.
Yeah, which, yeah, it depends. Either the committee or the serpent or
Or the
an
demons,
awkward
or
fall. I don't know.
Rocco's Basilisk. I think everything wants to kill us
Yeah,
somehow,
may not
honestly.
Mothman though. He's
No,
at least
Mothman's
he's
cool.
the guardian.
He's on our side.
Anyway,
Mothman is anti-committee confirmed. All right. Peace out, everyone.
bye.